respected dear family members, my pranams to you. Many people who used to watch the YouTube lectures and many devotees from different religion, different sector used to ask me the question, what is meant by sin? What is meant by virtue? Papa or punya? How can we define that? What is the role of the God? What is the role of nature in punishing the sinners or promoting the virtuous people? The Indian concept of sin and virtue has been proved scientifically, logically and rationally. If you go through the books written by many psychiatrists and psychologists, particularly Brian Weiss and so on, you can see that sin and virtue can be defined very logically. Human mind produces the thoughts. Based on the thoughts, the human beings act. Based on action, the result and the reward will be available. Good mind, good thoughts, good action, good result, good reward. Similarly, bad mind, the mind which produces destructive and bad thoughts, can be called as bad mind. From there comes bad thoughts. Bad thoughts are the foundation for the bad action. Automatically from bad action, bad result and bad reward will be coming out. So good action and bad action. According to Sir Isaac Newton, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. That is the scientific explanation. If you do good action, automatically what you will be getting back will be the result and the reward of good action. If you do bad action, accordingly the result and the reward or punishment of that bad action will be available for you. Good action we call it as punya karma, bad action we call it as papa karma. And the result of good action is punyam and result of bad action will be papam. And this is the simplest definition. And Indian approach has got much more to say than Sir Isaac Newton's explanation. For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction to be experienced by the actor. That is what we say in India. The Western concept is survival of the fittest. Indian concept is survival of the noblest. And when you say a man a sinner, it is purely based on his actions. Never based on what the God likes, what the God does not like. The Semitic religion always focus on God. India always focus on mind and human beings. In Semitic religion, human being is termed as sinner. Why that sin has come? Not because of his action, his mind, his thoughts, but because somebody 4,000 years ago disobeyed the God, Jehovah, Adam and Eve disobeyed Jehovah and ate the apple of knowledge. That the God did not like. Then the God cursed the human being. And that is the Adi Babam, the first sin. And all the children, the so-called children of Adam and Eve, became sinners like this. That story itself is a fake story. God did not create Adam and Eve. Human beings were there on the surface of the globe here for the last 2 million years or more than that. All the archaeological excavation proved that 69,000 years old human body could be taken from Ural mountains of Italy. Whereas Adam and Eve were born 6,000 years ago. 69,000-year-old human body in full form could be taken. So from that fake fraud story came the Adi Babam, first sin. That too not because of the action of Adam and Eve, but what they did was not liked by the so-called God. And the Christians and Muslims always label the human beings as sinners. And this technique is used for converting other people to Christianity. And they claim, they declare that Jesus died in the cross for the sin of the human being. Coming back to our concept, any good action will be having good reward and good result. Now suppose we have done bad action, which we call papam. How it can be erased off? This is a common question asked. As I told you earlier, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction to be experienced. So the result and the reward of the bad action can be erased off by experiencing that. If you have done something good, you have to experience the good result and good reward and enjoy that good of that good action. Then only it will be over. Without your experiencing the positives of the good action, it will not be over, it will not be erased off, it will be retained as the result and the reward. Where it retains, nobody knows. And if you have done anything bad, that is the Papa Karma, the result and the punishment of the Papam that you have to experience by yourself. Then it will be over, erased off. Just like if food is given to you, you are eating the food and the food is completed. That is to the physical body. The result and reward or punishment of the action, that also you have to experience, you have to enjoy, or you have to suffer. Now, it is not the God who gives you the punishment. It is not the God who gives you the enjoyment or entertainment of that positive action or punishment of the negative action. If the God gives all these things, then God will be just like a judge, advocate, IG of police, and making him happy will solve all your problem. If that would have been true, Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden and Veerappan of India, Gaddafi, they prayed all the 5 times in every day, 365 days, and hundreds and thousands of Christians used to do the Mass every Sunday, and they pray continuously. And for the Christians, Jesus Christ himself went to the cross and suffered. And if Jesus could remove all their sins, then naturally no Christian should suffer in this world. No Christian should go to a hospital because his sins are over, taken 2000 years ago by Jesus. And no Christian should be there in the prison because their sins have been taken by Jesus Christ. And nowhere in the world Christian should suffer because for the sin of the Christians only Jesus suffered on the cross. So that illogical way of explanation will not work at all. Whereas if you have done sin, even if it is Lord Krishna or Lord Rama or greatest people in the world or holiest people in the world, every action is to be raised off by experiencing the reaction of that action, so that it is not the God which is giving you the punishment. And if God would have been giving you the punishment, the hell or the heaven, then you can do anything in this world and then pray to the God that day itself and get erased of all the negative actions. Remember that God is only a witness for all these things. Sakshi Bhavam. And the nature gives the punishment. It is just like Prime Minister does not do anything, whereas the Supreme Court and the High Court gives the punishment. President of India and Prime Minister of India, they are not the punishment givers or the enjoyment givers. I am giving an example. Don't use that example for re-quoting it. This is first for understanding. So, Mayadhyakshena Prakriti, the divine power, omnipotent, omnipresent divine power existing on the cosmic system is only the chairman. And nature gives the punishment or enjoyment. According to the most scientific Le Chatelier's principle, whenever the system in equilibrium is disturbed, whenever the system in equilibrium is disturbed, the system will adjust itself in such a way that effect of the disturbance will be nullified. Whenever somebody does terrible negative, automatically the nature will take the action. In Bhagavad Gita, directly it has been told, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. When the dharmam goes down, the result of the positive actions go down. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya. Whenever the negative dharma rises up, tadatmanam visrajamyaham paritranaya sadhunam, for protecting the good doers, vinashaya cha dushkritam, those who are sinners, vinashaya cha dharma samsthavanarthaya, for maintaining that stability and harmonious balancing of the nature. Dharma samsthavanarthaya, the nature takes action. Sambhavami yuge yuge. Whatever is to be done, that will be done by the nature. And soul has got nothing to do with the sin. Soul has been proven as the carrier of the sin of the individual from one birth to another birth. If you are reading the greatest psychiatrist book, Many Lives, Many Masters, Messages from the Master's second book, Same soul, many bodies, the third book. Like that, 7 books he has written. After thorough study of more than 700 people, conducting retrogressive hypnotism, all the books has been proved as scientific and nobody has challenged that. So the soul has got 6 levels depending upon the sin, the so-called result of the bad action performed by the body in which the sin has been committed. But the soul is pure and clean, and it's only the carrier. Just like electrical wire carries the electricity, where the wire does not have much a role except carrying the electricity. Just like the air carries the good smell or bad smell, where the air is only a carrier, the soul carries the result of the bad action and good action from one body after death to another newly formed body, so that the next janma, next birth, whatever has not been experienced in this birth is to be experienced in the next birth, whether it be the result and the reward of the good action or the result and punishment of the bad action is to be experienced birth after birth, in which if you are waiting for the punishment of the nature for our doing the bad action, then the nature will be taking its own course of time for punishment. At the same time, suppose that you are not waiting for the punishment of the nature, then what is the second alternative? The pain that you are expected to suffer for the bad action that we have performed, the pain what we are expected to suffer for the bad action that we are doing, that we are not waiting from the nature, but we are undertaking by ourselves. Just like if you have got 1,000 rupees loan from a bank, you are expected to pay back the loan amount to the bank. Suppose you do not wait for getting the money for refunding the loan, the second alternative is that you can do equal amount of work for the bank and you can get erased of the loan that you have to pay to the bank. For 5 days you are going to the bank and you are cleaning the bank and you are working for the manager for 5 days, and each day you are expected to get 200 rupees. So 5 days 1,000 rupees, so that your 1,000 rupee loan you could erase off by doing equal action for the bank. Just like that, whatever punishment that we have to experience in our life for doing bad things, that we are undertaking by our own will, and we are, suppose we are going to, I am giving an example, suppose we are going to Kailas, or we are going to Hajj, or we are going to another pilgrimage by a Christian or a Hindu or a Muslim. But during this pilgrimage, if that pilgrimage is with full of mental and physical suffering, equivalent to the punishment that you have to suffer for the negative actions what you have done, then naturally the punishment of the nature got erased off by your own selecting the punishment. Suppose you are going to Kailas pilgrimage, 22,000 feet height, 52 kilometers circumference, at about minus 15 degrees centigrade. You are doing the pradakshina, climbing this much, no food, terribly cold, not even a single individual, alone, and suffering a lot during this terrible winter with a heavy clothing, walking for about 52 kilometers. That itself will be raising off the great punishment that you are expected to suffer for the bad action. So for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction to be experienced by the actor, and you have experienced and you have raised it off. Exactly in the same way, if you are going to Amarnath, you can see 14,000 feet you have to climb up, nearly 15 kilometers, narrow road. The challenges of the terrorist, Muslim terrorist, anything can happen on the way, no food, no drinks, nothing. And the suffering that you have to experience while climbing is just to see an ice idol of Shivalinga. Similarly, when you are going to Mount Kailas, it's only a mountain, simply mountain. That mountain has got the size and the shape of a big Shivalinga, that's all. Shivalinga is the miniature form of Mount Kailas. Instead of going to Mount Kailas, you can go to a temple near by your home, but it will not erase off your sin or the punishment of the bad action, because you are not suffering anything. Nature expects you to suffer the punishment of the bad action, because Sir Isaac Newton's rule says for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Now come back to the Christian concept. If Jesus Christ has taken all your sin, do you think that the sin can be transferred from one person to another person? If that is the case, the whole world would have become so happy that if some people are ready to take your sin on a wholesale basis, just like wholesale marketing is taking place, and he is suffering. 10 people committed the murder, and instead of 10 people going to the jail, one person can take the sin of the whole 10 people and he can spend the whole life in the jail, so that these 10 people can be relieved from their sin. Is it logical? How can it be logical? The thirst cannot be transferred from one person to another person. Hunger cannot be transferred from one person to another person. If I am thirsty or hungry, somebody else drinking water, somebody else eating food will not solve my thirst or hunger. Even a flight ticket cannot be transferred, or a railway ticket cannot be transferred. Then how my sin can be transferred for a person who died so-called death? He did not die. Bible never says that Jesus died. Bible says that how can you search a living man among the dead body? That shows that Jesus never died at all. If at all anybody died, it is only Socrates who died by forcing him by others to drink hemlock poison. Jesus did not die at all. He left Jerusalem and Israel and came to India and lived for up to 82 years. That itself is a fake story. So thinking that 2000 years ago Jesus died for my sin who are living in 2014, how can it be logical? If you have done any sin, if Adam and Eve have done any sin, they have to suffer for that. Or if you have done any sin, you have to suffer for that. Instead of that, as George Bernard Shaw said, for the crime or sin of the sinners or criminals, a holy man is crucified. How can it be justified? Crucifixion of a holy man for the sin or crime performed by the sinner or criminals. 100% unjustifiable. And this crooked message is used for converting the people. And not only that, Jesus, if would have died in the cross, naturally that cross is one of the emblems of the sin. Emblems of the sin. It will never become holy, because that cross is the one which is used for the crucifixion of the Son of the God. It is just like worshipping the pistol used for killing Mahatma Gandhi. Instead of respecting Mahatma Gandhi, suppose you are worshipping the pistol, how it can be justified? And remember that your sin cannot be transferred to anybody else, for which deep spiritual knowledge is not required at all. A common man's knowledge is enough. And somebody dying for you, somebody going to the jail or prison for you, somebody paying the money for your crime, somebody is sleeping for your weakness or tiredness, it is not logical. No science, no spirituality, no religion can justify that. Not only that, human beings never get their birth as sinner. Nobody will be a sinner at the time of his birth. Just think about it. Sin is the result of the action, and punishment or the enjoyment is the reward of the action what you are doing. It's a simple common logic. And if you are fasting, I am coming to another point. If you are fasting, the sufferings of the fasting can be equated with the punishment that you are suffering for your negative action. But suppose at 8 p.m. late evening you are eating the food, 8 p.m. you are eating the food, and again next day morning 8 a.m. you are eating the breakfast. Can you say 12 hours you are fasting in the night? How can you say as usual 8 p.m. your dinner, as usual 8 a.m. your breakfast? You cannot say that one. You are fasting for erasing of your sin. Is it not the same way that the Muslims are doing? Before sunrise, 6 a.m. they eat the food up to the brim of their stomach, and after sunset, exactly after 12 hours, they again eat the food. Can we say that it is fasting? Beginning you are eating full, after end also you are eating full. How can it be logically called that you are suffering the pain of the hunger? It's not at all logical. And not only that, suppose you are giving money to the God, whether according to Hindu custom or Christian or Muslim custom, giving money to the God can never erase of your sin. In India, money is offered or materials are offered to the temple, not for erasing of your sin, but it is a part of Pancha Mahayajna. Deva Yajna, Rishi Yajna, Buddha Yajna, Vidra Yajna and Manushya Yajna. It is for maintaining that temple where people assemble and enjoy, sharing, caring and curing takes place. Temple is not the beginning of Hindu Dharma. Temple is not the end of Hindu Dharma. That is why even without going to the temple, you can live as a Hindu, whereas for the Semitic religious people it is not possible. So God is not the taker of your money. God will never compensate your sin for the money that you are giving. If that is the case, then You can do day, morning till evening, all the crime, and then go to the God and give money and get yourself escaped from the sin. Or pray, repeat whatever you have done to the Father of the church, so that the Father will declare that you have become purified from the sin. You know, Saint Francis Xavier, whose dead body is kept in the church of Goa, and he has killed 40,000 Hindus for not getting converted into Christianity. And according to people, he is the most dangerous sinner in the world, because he has murdered 40,000 Hindus for not converting into Christianity. But the Pope declared him as the saint. Just imagine that. 1410 temples he crushed, and these many pupils he butchered. And do you think it is the holy action? It is the action of virtuous action? Killing other people and treating all the nature's products in the negative, destructive way, and claiming that this is what the God told me, so I am doing. Will it be justifiable? If I am telling that Lord Krishna told me to kill all those people when I am sleeping in the night, I saw in the dream that somebody is telling me, and I label it as the God, and then kill so many people, and then I declare that I have accomplished the will and wish of the God by killing these many people. How can it be justified as the action of virtue? And many saints, they have converted the poor people into Christianity, and this conversion activity itself has been glorified as the God's action, and they have got elevated to the level of saint. And in between the ordinary Christian and Jehovah, these saints stand as the mediators for praying for the ordinary Christians. If the ordinary Christians are really good Christians, why this mediator is needed? Why not directly pray? And these mediators are nothing but the people who converted ordinary people to Christianity using all the crooked methods. If you go to the history of the church, you can see conversion was the pathway adopted according to the instruction given by Jehovah in the Old Testament and also New Testament of the Bible. Just to go through that, many people used to tell that Gopalakrishna has never read the Bible at all. That is the simplest way of disclaiming what I am telling, and telling that Gopalakrishna is telling wrong because he has not read the Bible. I am sure that those who are telling that I have not read Bible, they have never seen Bible. If they have read the Bible, the Jemaria or the number or the kings or Leula or so and so, just to go through that one, you will be terrified to read the commands of Jehovah, to convert the ordinary people to his fold. And those who are worshipping other gods will be suffering for 4 generations. You can see such type of messages. And those messages got practiced by the saints, and they became from the ordinary level to the level of saint only for this conversion, not by siddhi or genius enlightenment. And remember that they will not be taking your sin, because sin is not transferable. So my information based on many questions asked to me, sin is purely the result of your action. The so-called Swargam, which is not equal to heaven, is purely the reward of your good action. And Virtue is the positive result of the positive action. Sin is the negative result of the negative action. All the positives and all the negatives, those who are doing that will have to experience either directly when the nature gives that, or directly we are opting for that, and the nature is the maintainer of the cosmic consciousness, social consciousness and individual consciousness. These three are the latest wordings adopted for the spirituality. Individual consciousness, social consciousness and cosmic consciousness should be complementary, coexisting and cooperating, and never contradictory and confusing. Only in Hindu Dharma you can see individual consciousness, social consciousness and cosmic consciousness coexist. Hindus have never said only my God is correct, only my pathway is correct, only if you are worshipping my God you will go to heaven, if you are worshipping other God you will go to hell. Hindus have never said or never practiced like that one. We prayed only Loka Samasta Sugino Bhavantu. We never prayed Haindava Samasta Sugino Bhavantu. And that cosmic consciousness is complementing with the social consciousness, which is complementing with the individual consciousness, and the fruit of the good action and the punishment of the bad action cannot be transferred to any god or to any prophet or any holy man. You have to suffer by yourself, or you have to enjoy by yourself the negative and the positive action. With these words I would like to express my gratitude. Pranams to you.